Hello and good day, eh? Welcome to the Super Good Camping Podcast. My name is Pamela.
I'm Tim.
And we are from supergoodcamping.com. We are here because we're on a mission to inspire other families to enjoy camping adventures such as we have with our kids. Today's guest is the Executive Director of Paddler Co-op, which you're about to hear all about. Please welcome Ryan O'Connor to the podcast. Hey,
Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks, everybody.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Awesome.
Good. We're getting all riled up to go to the Outdoor Adventure Show in less than 2 weeks now. Actually, when this episode airs, it will be about 5 days away or 4 days away or something. So excited.
It's like Christmas. It's like Christmas for adults.
So
Totally.
If I'm not doing camping, it's the next best thing for me. I love the show. I love to go and see all the people, check out all the cool exhibits. So many presenters, just run back and forth from stage to stage. I love the show.
Yeah, it's a super fun weekend. We're also heading down. We're excited. It's a massive undertaking for us because there's like a 4-hour drive before we even get there. And it's, life on the road for the weekend, but it's always so fun. It's like great to kind of crawl out of the hills and reconnect with so many people and make new friends. Well, we met at the Outdoor Adventure Show last year.
Exactly. Cool. It was the coolest thing. So we're totally branching, but this is not at all how I planned to start this, but we did. We wandered into your exhibit. It was you. There may have been somebody else. I seem to think it was you and Riley were there. So, and you were busy talking to somebody else. So we got talking to Riley, and weirdest, like, what a small world. Riley lives a 6-minute bike ride from here. Like, had no idea. How cool is that? We're pals. We've gone for got over to the local pub. They've come over here we did a podcast, for dinner. Like, we yak all the time. It's great. It's awesome. It's welcome to the outdoor adventure world, man.
Well, I'm assuming Riley is indicative of the type of people that you get to work with.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Well, Riley's a bit of a special character. Riley's like super motivated, super keen, just like an outpouring. I feel like every time I talk to Riley, they've got like a bazillion things going on, and somehow there's always time for a conversation, which is super cool. But we feel blessed to have Riley. Riley's actually the chair of our board of directors, so we're governed by like a volunteer board of directors. So Riley's been on the board for 5 years now, and or this is coming into the 5th year. And it's just super awesome. I get to meet so many cool people by doing what I do, and it's especially neat because it's something that I love. So I definitely feel really blessed and grateful.
Sweet. Okay, so let's use that as a perfect segue. Let's back up. Tell us what you do. Tell us what Paddler Co-op is, and then how you play into it.
Sure. Yeah. So Paddler Co-op, we're a member-owned cooperative, for starters. So we're owned by our members, and we're a not-for-profit organization. Like, we operate with a mission-first sort of priority. Profit is more of an outcome than sort of an objective, if that makes sense. And our vision is to build a stronger paddling community. And the way we do that is by providing high quality programming in an inclusive, affordable, accessible setting where we'll deliver trips, we'll deliver whitewater canoe and kayak skills training, kids camps, rescue safety, first aid courses, sort of a whole variety, even including like rentals and shuttles, and we operate a campground on the river. Basically with the spirit of improving the quality of education that folks can get on the river, and also to foster a sense of community and bring people into the fold of getting out on the water and getting to know folks that are, either at a similar level as them or are coming from a completely different walk of life or way much further down their journey or way earlier in their journey, and providing like a safe and inclusive melting pot for everybody to come together in the sweet little hamlet of Palmer Rapids, where we're on the Madawaska River, just kind of southeast of Algonquin Park. And it's a super rural place, but probably the most popular whitewater canoeing river in Ontario, Canada, North America. I don't know. It's a busy spot. It's a great spot.
Excellent. Well, okay, cool. I'm coming. So how do you plan it? For starters, obviously you have to be a paddler. How did you? What's your origin story in playing on the water? And then I'll save myself asking the question later. And then how does that parlay into you being the executive director of the co-op?
Good question. So yeah, um, I guess it goes back to when I was a kid. I'm the youngest of seven kids, and my parents were uh, outdoor enthusiasts for sure. My mom grew up on a farm in the area in Cumbermere. And my dad was from a military family that moved around. They lived in Germany. They lived in, on the East Coast. They lived, eventually settled in Lindsay, Ontario. But through being in the military, he did like a ton of training with like skydiving and winter camping and overland expeditions and whitewater rafting and ski traverses and all these types of things. So from a very young age, we were always getting out. My mom grew up on the land. My dad grew up in the wilderness in a different context, but that kind of paired for somehow, by some form of a miracle, all 9 of us getting out and getting after it. So I remember doing like canoe trips in Algonquin as a really young kid, mostly just kind of sitting in the middle. But I guess where it ties into the river and whitewater is we decided that we wanted to do a trip on the Coulonge River, one of the kind of classic tributaries, the three sisters of the Ottawa River on the Quebec side, coming out of La Vérendrye Provincial Park. And they wanted to do this self-guided. That was just the way we did things. We just figured it out and did it. And so before taking on that much of a challenge with, I think the oldest kid was like 18 or maybe even 17. So I was like 6 or 7 at this time. Before, heading into the woods with a bunch of teenagers and less than teenagers and two parents who are not professional paddlers, we wanted to do some training. So we ended up linking up with some extended family of ours that knew the co-op and were actively involved with the co-op. And they said, you know what, if you want to get training, go to the co-op. Like, it's the place to do it. You'll learn everything you need to. It'll be affordable. You can get everybody on the water, get like a weekend worth of training before you go on this canoe trip, and you'll be, that much better off for it. So I remember the first time I actually came to the co-op. I don't remember anything about the co-op itself, but I remember being up at the rapids and jumping off of this one rock into the moving water. And for me, it was just like a kid in a candy store. It's just like the funnest thing to do. Just like hop in the water and float down and do it again. I don't remember anything. I don't know if I learned anything. I don't remember anything else about the course. But that stuck with me. And so then we did the Coulonge River. It was awesome. There was one like really near tip where like the boat was sideways and somehow somebody had a camera out. So we actually have like a picture of this where like my brothers and sisters, 3 of them in the boat, were like totally sideways. I don't know if somebody did a brace or whatever, but they managed to stay upright. It was an awesome trip. It was super cool. And that was my first whitewater experience. And then from there, things were kind of dormant. Like, I didn't paddle whitewater for a long time afterwards. I would continue to like do whatever canoeing in the lake and stuff like that. But I grew up in Montreal, so it wasn't like, we didn't have a lake out the door or anything. So it would just be when we were visiting family or friends that were, at a cottage or on the lake, and we'd go out. But when I went to Cégep, or like college in between high school and university in Quebec, I took an intro to outdoor ed course. And that course was meant to introduce students to all types of different outdoor activities. We did like orienteering, we did canoe camping, we did rock climbing, and then we did whitewater kayaking in the pool. So I didn't actually get to go on a river, but all of a sudden there was this, I was learning how to play kayak polo and do rolls and hold my breath and do wet exits and, everything about maneuvering a kayak. And I thought that was pretty cool. And then there was a whitewater kayaking club at the school. So I went out with the club a couple times and had a ton of fun with them. And the following summer, I was working on my uncle's farm in the area in Cumbermere, and I reached out to those same family members, my second cousins that I had originally gone out with, the coolest family, and I asked them if they would take me out, and they said, yeah, absolutely, let's go. So we came down to the co-op, we got kitted out in the gear, and we went out to Palmer Rapids and started bombing down, and it was just like, it was the most fun thing like maybe ever. It's like the first time you ride like powder on a snowboard and really enjoy it. It was like that for me in a kayak. And I remember specifically like the first surf I got, because there was this tiny little wave at the bottom of the lower set. It was like summertime, it was warm water, so we're just the first surf I got, I was just like mesmerized at the fact that I was somehow in equilibrium staying in the same spot with all this water like flowing by around me. And I didn't really know what was going on, but I knew enough to be like, this is a pretty unique and cool experience. And I think I want to do this again. So anyway, I paddled a bunch of times that summer, went back to Montreal, bought a boat, volunteered with the school club, there was actually a whitewater kayaking course at the school, which is super cool. Shout out to John Abbott College for providing access to, teenagers to getting into that kind of sport. I just honed my skills a ton. And tried to paddle with the best people that I could and develop my abilities. And then I moved out west after I finished school. I moved out west for a season of ski bumming, and while I was out there, I actually got a job offer to say, hey, do you want to come to the valley and teach kayaking at the co-op? And I was like, you gotta be kidding. Like, wow, yes, done. So I came back and started teaching, and that was in 2013. I arrived at Palmerfest, which is like the big festival at the start of the season. And there was, 100, 200 people there on the Saturday night, a ton of folks that I was just getting introduced to that were super welcoming and awesome and just great to connect with and wanted to know my story, and I wanted to know their story and everything. And it just like quickly became clear to me that that was the place for me. I had kind of found my people and found my my home away from home, I guess. And so I kept teaching that summer, and then just made it a priority basically to become the most proficient paddler, instructor, valuable staff member to the co-op that I could. And fast forward that down through the years, I became a certified whitewater kayak instructor. I became a certified whitewater canoe instructor. I became a certified whitewater canoe instructor trainer, and began to manage, the equipment, began to manage the site, began to manage the staff, and then eventually was offered the opportunity to run the organization, which interestingly enough, I just said no to. I was not interested whatsoever. I wanted to paddle. I saw what our previous executive director's life was like, and it seemed really stressful and not that convincing. And I was like, not for me.
I hear you.
And but I don't know, life is a funny way of putting the right mountain in front of you to climb. And I simmered on that for about 8 months, went through the season. We knew that he was retiring. I was volunteering on the board of directors at that time as well. My wife and I were both on the board of directors. And so then it became partly my job as a board member to replace the previous executive director. And we went through a hiring process, and we went through an interviewing process, and we had a bunch of prospects. And for one reason or another, all of the prospects sort of faded out. They opted out. They decided that it wasn't worth doing. And for the sake of wanting to make sure that this place would continue to function with somebody who had experience. At that point, I was teaching here for 8 years. My wife and I kind of decided to just take a chance and say, well, hey, listen, if nobody's going to do it, like, we'll do an interim year for one season. We asked one of the co-founders, Shauna, if she would kind of help mentor us, and she agreed. And so, we kind of became the operations manager and office manager. And mostly because we wanted to make sure that, the operation would run the next season. I wanted to make sure I had a job the next year, and it was kind of a hard time. Like, it was, as a not for profit, like, the co-op was run with really, really thin margins. Like, we would close it up in September and basically cross our fingers and toes that, like, come May we would, be able to pay the bills and run Palmerfest, launch Palmerfest and, like, carry on. And I don't know how many people know that or not, but I feel like it's an important part of just kind of sharing the reality of these types of organizations. Like, the pandemic sort of knocked a bunch of people out, and I think it made us all realize the thin lines that the businesses that we care about and the activities that we like to do, how thin the margins are, or how close they are to just folding. And yeah, so we wanted to do that. So we did it without any kind of a guaranteed paycheck or anything. And then the pandemic hit.
Fun times.
Perfect. Oh, great. Yeah, sure. Let's make sure the co-op can run as it gets totally stuffed in the can from just factors beyond our control. So that was an extremely stressful time. Like, we had no idea what we were doing running the organization in some ways. I had to all of a sudden learn how to deal with the CRA and budget and hire people and all this kind of stuff that previously was just kind of taken care of. And at the same time, there was no money coming in and bills racking up. So, to make a long story short, we basically just did what has always worked for the co-op and was just honest and open with our membership and our community and said, listen, folks, like, things are not going well and there's no sign of them improving. We need your help. We're doing the best that we can and we've reduced every possible expense, but we need to find a way to keep this place going. And then all of a sudden, donations started rolling in. People started buying, every last item of merch that we had. There were gift cards that people were purchasing, just like tons of letters of support and everything like that. And it was like, holy crap, okay, maybe we can just kind of squeak along for now. And also, there's something really powerful here that is kind of a force that we didn't even anticipate. Being involved in the organization for so long, how powerful it was, and that tied us through. And we had to access, every type of subsidy or whatever, the SEBA loan and Qs and everything like that to be able to help make it work. But we made it work somehow, and we were then, like, committed at that point. It's like, okay, this place is important to people. This place is special. This place not only serves us and those around us, but it serves so many other people that are connected to us. And it's worth, giving it our all. So that year was the first year that we were managing, and we were only able to open in July, but we just made sure to get all of our duckies in a row. We opened, and boom, we had, like, a record-breaking year. And it turned out that the next 3 years would be, like, unprecedented for the outdoor industry, which is just totally nuts. So all of a sudden it was from, like, there's nobody we can hire, and then, like, Linda and I step up, and then, we're definitely shutting down. Like, there's no way we can make it. It's a pandemic. And then we reach out to the membership. We're just honest with people. We're saying, like, we don't know what to do. Help us. And all of a sudden, boom, we just started climbing this trajectory. And it's been unreal. So that was the start of my sort of managing. The following year, I guess I officially became the executive director. My wife went on to nursing because she finished school. So she was no longer working with the organization. But yeah, we just continued to deliver a high quality product and communicate with our members and the people that we serve and do, as best as we can and do it for the love of it. And next thing you know, we've basically, like, tripled the number of people we serve in a year, in 3 years, which is totally wild. So yeah, we're thriving now. And I've learned how to, I don't know, be a business person and a paddler.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know what I do. It seems to work. I just keep doing it.
Well, that's it. It's like, it's such a crazy thing, eh? Like, if you care about it enough and you're willing to, beat your head against the wall or find a way to solve the problems, like, it's gonna come. It's a weird thing to say. It's like, I don't know, it sounds almost like, it's not based in anything, but it's enough. I've experienced enough to be confident in saying something like that, I guess.
Yeah, perseverance and passion. I think you mix enough of that in there, you'll get to wherever you need to go. It organically, however that whatever that thing is, it'll get there. So I think that's probably listening to the story. I'm pretty sure that's as much the deal as anything. And yeah, being willing to slam your head against the wall more than once, that's probably a good thing too.
Well, and I think there's a new challenge that you guys are facing at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, totally. So, like the pandemic was the first mountain that we had to climb, and we've gotten our feet under us basically. So we've grown from shutting down in September to crossing our fingers we can open up in May, and now we have there's two of us year round, so we can actually answer the phone, we can actually answer the emails, we can actually do some planning and stuff like that, which is super awesome, and and it just kind of seems like how life all of a sudden you get over this impossible thing, and then it's like, oh, thank God we did it. Things are never going to be that hard again, I'm sure. And you kind of revel in that. You ride the wave a little bit, you enjoy it, you surf the pal, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden there's just like this other just like looming boom thing that happens. So that that kind of happened in some way. So we've been renting the physical property that we've been on for 20 years. In 2003, one of the co-founders and a board member purchased this property because the co-op couldn't afford it itself, with the purpose of renting it to the co-op so that we could have a campground, we could have a place to store boats, gear, classroom space, all of this kind of stuff, an office space, and everything like that. And it's gotten to that point in their lives where they're beyond retirement now, and so rather than continuing to hold on to this property as an investment, it's time for them to sell, through no fault of their own. And of course, on my end, at first, I was like, "Oh my God, this is you can't be serious. This isn't happening." Because we just got through the pandemic, we just finally managed to make things work and kind of turn the business around from a death sentence basically, and now we are faced with this question of, okay, do we allow this property to get sold to somebody who may or may not have an interest in keeping the co-op going, or keeping the co-op here as a tenant on the property, um, and going down that sort of risky road, or
Yeah, that hits me as it would be an absolute crapshoot. Like you don't know who's going to buy it, you don't know what they're going to want to do with the land, right?
No.
Yeah.
And the way property prices have gone in the recent years, especially here in the Madawaska Valley, the prices have tripled. And probably the highest income earning opportunity somebody could get off of this is chopping it in two and building two cottages and selling them for whatever, $1.5 million a piece. So,
Yeah.
And so we're faced with this question, and basically we've engaged our membership. We've asked around. We've been like, folks, what do you think we should do? And wholeheartedly, the resounding response is we need to buy this place. There's no way for us to be able to even think about letting this opportunity pass us by. So rather, there's on the one hand, we could view it as a crisis, we're threatened, it's a save the co-op thing. But on the other hand, and more importantly, we're choosing to focus on this as this is a massive opportunity. We can invest in the site. We can invest in better infrastructure. We can invest in increased programming. We've got stability, which allows us to plan for longevity, to continue to sort of forecast into the future and say, what do we want to be when we grow up? And in some ways, it's like the rite of passage. It's like the co-op, the teenager that is Paddler Co-op is getting kicked out and saying, go on, kid, get a job, pay rent and all that kind of stuff. So that's the point that we're at right now. The reality of the situation is, given the fact that prices have risen, we responded to the pandemic with a really strategic, and I would argue disciplined approach to be able to save up enough to have a reserve fund. We need to save that reserve fund for a rainy day. We need to be able to pay the kind of fixed costs on the rainy day. and to at least have like one staff person in the event, not being able to operate or another pandemic, who knows. So we need to keep a portion of our reserve fund intact, but we do have a portion that we can contribute to the down payment, but it's not enough. We've been approved for financing. We know that we can purchase this property, but we need to run a fundraiser in order for us to get beyond that threshold of what we have to make sure that we can secure this place long term for the future, to not only serve our members, but their children and their children's children, and to be a staple and partner in this community, for years and years to come, basically. So we're at this exciting point where, we've got the new mountain to climb, which is finding a way to purchase this place to secure it for the needs of the community. And we're doing absolutely everything that we can in order to make that happen. So we're committing as much as we can out of our reserve fund to it. We are planning a awesome fundraiser with tiered donation levels. At each different level, folks donate. They will get a membership to the co-op. They will have access to sort of different perks and packages that we have. So, for example, the lowest one is sort of like a sticker and swag pack. And then from there, there's discounts on our brand partners. We're working with a bunch of different brands that are also contributing to this cause. They're going to help us spread the word. And they've kicked in some really amazing offerings. So we're going to get discount on brand partners. We're going to be able to offer subsidized courses for people, like amazing discounts. We're talking like 50% off, which is stuff that like we'll never do at the co-op, for people to come. We're putting together like specific tailored packages for folks who want to come and camp with their family. They'll get like, preferred campsite selection of their favorite sites down by the water, and we'll like sweeten the deal with, a box of beer and some s'mores and a bottle of wine and maybe some bugs, all the good stuff that we can do, just as a big thank you. But we do need, we need help. We need our community's help. We need your folks' help, and thank you already, and having me on to be able to share the story of the co-op and the fact that, we're again at this crossroads where we need support. And, all of our brand partners, and I mean, the folks that come through here, we put 1,600 people on the water each year. And it's most important for us to make sure that we can keep doing that and keep growing that, because as, real estate increases in value, people buy up property, they develop it. We're losing access. If you look at the States, with the amount of people that there are, all of these wild spaces, we're losing access to them. And it's important for us as a paddling and outdoors community to take a stand and say, this is a wild space that's worth keeping wild. This is an access point to a river and a section that is worth preserving. And so that's what we're doing. And that's really what we're asking for, is for people to invest in the future of paddling in the Madawaska Valley, to invest in the future of paddling and accessible programs at Paddler Co-op, to invest in the future of building a collective, stronger paddling community in a totally transparent and non-profit driven way, where we're meeting the needs of each other's. We're meeting each other's needs, and we're able to get out on the water. And,
well, I mean, for me personally, I think that's an extremely admirable goal, I suppose. We caught wind of you through numerous friends and acquaintances in the paddling community, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, you got to go check this out. Oh yeah, you got to go check this out." So having met Riley and yakking with them, it's like, okay, cool. We're a little podcast, but how can we help? Can we do this? So with that in mind, what are the nuts and bolts of the fundraiser? When's it going to start? How long is it going to run ish? Where do we send people to buy the swag packages, to get the 50% discount packages, to go camping, to do all the things?
Yeah, totally. So basically we have until July 1st to make this all happen. We've managed to secure the commitment for financing from our bank, which is huge. So it's not like we have to raise the whole amount. The whole amount is $700,000. $700,000 is the cost of the property. It's a 2.7 acre property with an office space, this space, which is like kind of a residentially type building, and this big boathouse garage with towering pines on the river and beside the highway. It's pretty incredible. It's everything. So we need to raise enough to be able to afford the mortgage on it, which is awesome because that means that we don't have to raise 700. We're aiming to raise 250 right now. The more that we can raise beyond that, the easier it'll be in our organization. Our rent payment is basically going to double when it comes to a mortgage. We can still work that within our budget, but it would be a little bit easier if we didn't have to work quite as hard. And so we're looking to raise that much. And basically, if 1,000 people contribute $250 a piece, which is basically what folks will spend in gas to get here and back from the city, and maybe, a case of beer and probably one night's meal, they can help us to get to that point. And we are literally like in the final stages of finalizing our landing page, our website. It's got an FAQ page on it. It explains, the history of the co-op, our values. There's all sorts of information about the intricacies of the fundraiser, why we're doing a fundraiser. But all this to say, we've got this deadline. We've been given the right of first refusal to purchase the property. So we're doing every single thing we possibly can to make sure that happens. And we need to raise this money by July 1st and make sure that we have, the opportunity to secure this place for years to come, essentially. So how people can contribute, first off, for starters, listening to this podcast is awesome. Secondly, sharing word about this, sharing this podcast, sharing our social media posts, joining our newsletter. If you log on to paddlerco-op.ca, you can scroll all the way down. You can click join the newsletter. You can join our newsletter, and you'll get sort of all the updates there. And when our fundraiser actually launches, when it goes live, which at the time of recording, we're 2 weeks out or less. Our goal is to have it live before the Outdoor Adventure Show. So we will have a web page that essentially has all that information nested in. So we'll be sharing that link through social media, through our email channels, on the website at paddlerco-op.ca. And we're doing a bunch of other promotional stuff, like we're doing another podcast next week, for example. We're going to be at the Outdoor Adventure Show. We'll be chatting with folks there. We've got lots of folks who've come and actually gotten training at the co-op who have like YouTube channels and Instagram followings and all this kind of stuff of their own. So we're going to be leaning on them to spread the word and that sort of thing. So we're really trying to cast the net wide.
Sweet. Well, and this will air the Monday before the Outdoor Adventure Show. So everybody that's listening, go see them at the Outdoor Adventure Show. Go to the show. You don't have to spend all day in there at their booth, but go make sure you drop by. Drop by, say hey, get a business card. Do the right things.
We'll have fresh, hot, good coffee locally roasted in the Madawaska Valley for free. Because we want people to have as much energy as we do on the floor that day. So come on by, get a coffee, grab a sticker, chat with us. We're going to be right by the pool. We're actually incorporated in the Frontenac Outfitters booth space. So if you look at Frontenac Outfitters, right by the pool, I guess they call it the Whitewater Zone or whatever, you'll be able to see us there. Look for the dreadlocks. You can't miss them. If I'm not at the booth, it's probably because I'm on the mic narrating for Zach in the pool, or maybe I'm in a boat.
Cool. Well, I literally our recording this morning, our episode for the Outdoor Adventure Show went up, and I had to wag my finger at Fred Cox, the guy that owns the show, puts it on, because between my two favorite stages are the Canadian adventure stage and the paddling adventure stage, and he puts the whitewater demo pool right between the two. And I have to run from one stage to the other because the shows are like right behind each other. And as I'm going by the whitewater paddling, but I want to stop and watch. Oh, I gotta go.
Too many. It's too many fun things in one short chunk of time, right?
Yes, very much so. Yeah, very much so. Okay, cool. We will do everything we can to help. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. And yeah, I guess we'll plunk all as soon as we actually know that the fundraiser is full on, we'll point everybody at the webpage and stuff, and away we go.
Amazing. That would be so great. And already, like having me share the story and to, connect with you folks in your audience, it means the world to me. This place means a ton to me. It's afforded me a life and a living. And it's also allowed me to inspire countless other people. And, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that have come through the co-op and gotten training. And it's, for those people, as I said, the future generations down the line that we're doing this. So thank you.
Well, I think what you're doing is a good thing. It sounds amazing to me. It checks all the boxes for me. And a lot of people whose opinions I value think what you're doing is a great thing too. So I'm sold. Good enough.
Nice. And we'll have to get you out in a boat this summer. I know. I think I remember from talking earlier that you're not. You're a little hesitant around whitewater, but there's always a way. We can always learn at our own pace. And if nothing else, I mean, yeah, you should just come up, do some camping.
I know I should. I know.
We'll talk
you know
skiing
what?
and
we will talk at the Outdoor Adventure Show.
I love it.
All right, cool.
That's it for us for today. Thank you so much to our special guest, the Executive Director of Paddler Co-op, Ryan O'Connor. And we're looking forward to seeing him at the Outdoor Adventure Show. And we hope to see you at the Outdoor Adventure Show too, please, if you do happen to notice. I won't be there. I will be on a beach in Mexico. But if you happen to see Tim walking around with a Super Good Camping t-shirt or hat on, then please come up and say hi.
And a very tall kid.
And a very tall kid who also may have a cap on.
Who knows?
We will talk to you again soon. My name is Pamela.
I'm Tim.
And we are from supergoodcamping.com. Our email address, if you would like to give us any feedback, good or bad, we'd love to hear from you. It's hi@supergoodcamping.com. That's hi@supergoodcamping.com. And we will talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye. Good one, man.
Awesome.